You're listening to the Public Finance Live podcast series, brought to you by the PF editorial team, directly from SIPFA's 2025 annual conference in Birmingham, England. You can listen to our full series of episodes on the big issues being discussed at this year's conference by searching PF Live wherever you get your podcasts, or by visiting the podcast section of the Public Finance website. Hello, I'm John Watkins, Group Editor of Public Finance, and I'm your host for this Public Finance Live podcast. This episode is called Powered by Partnership, Smarter Services for Stronger Communities. And in this era of ongoing financial pressures and spend challenges, it'll explore how local authorities can leverage strategic partnerships to boost efficiency and revenue and protect essential services. The episode is sponsored by Liberata, the provider of innovative managed service solutions to the government, the wider public sector and commercial organisations. And I'm pleased to say that to get under the bonnet of this topic, I'm joined by Liberata's Head of Transformation, Darren Smith. Darren, welcome.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here. So we are speaking on day 2 of PF Live 2025. How have you found the event so far? What's been most enjoyable for you?
It's really good, actually. It's thriving, isn't it? It's really good conversations going on. There's a lot of engagement. You just mentioned getting under the bonnet. I think understanding some of the challenges that the people that we're talking to are facing actually really helps to sort of bring it in line with what we're trying to achieve. So yeah, thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah, good. We mentioned there in the intro that strategic partnerships are essential for councils seeking to enhance service delivery, unlock new efficiencies, generate sustainable revenue. Just set the context of that for us and the range of benefits such partnerships can deliver.
Yeah, sure. So to sort of set the scene a little bit, we know the immense pressure that local authorities are under at the moment with the budget challenges, budget deficits in many places, rising needs of local communities and the challenges that that's bringing. As a bit of context, I joined Liberata in 2024. However, I spent 25 years prior to that, from the age of 16 in local government, 17 of which were at the London Borough of Barnet. So it's been a real benefit for me to come through my entire career in local government and then actually now step to the other side and see what value that the strategic partnerships can bring. I think some of the biggest challenges that we face in local government in particular is we want to transform services. We want to improve outcomes for our residents and our people and the way we work. But there's either not enough resource or there's too many other priorities to juggle. And that makes it really difficult to genuinely produce those outcomes. And this is where the strategic partnerships can kick in. We, at Liberata, for example, we offer a wide range of strategic partnerships, from a full strategic partnership, which we have in places like Bromley and Hounslow and North Somerset, where we take on whole services and deliver those and everything that comes with that. And then there's transformational partnerships, turnkey approach, where we can wrap services around local authorities to support them, whether that's on demand or for a design period, to then hand over the keys and say, here's the service transformation, which, given the challenge of local government reorganisation in the coming years, actually is probably something that might benefit a lot of local authorities. So by having that sort of wide range of services that we can offer across, revenues and benefits, HR, payroll, customer service, across all those services, we're able to then offer a bespoke service based on what is needed. What is it the support? Is it resource that you need support with? Is it technology? What exactly are you looking to achieve? And we've got an answer for that. And I think, at Liberator, we call it service tech as opposed to strategic partnership. And that's really born out of the sort of trying to really join the need for people and technology, so we can deliver the people-centric services that are needed, or we can deliver the technology that supports that, whether it's, through, we hear AI all the time now, but whether it's automation, AI, or platforms that enable authorities to move forward, and everything in between.
Yeah. And how can it support councils, particularly in this time of great political change and turbulent economic climate as well?
So, typically we see a 10 to 20% saving on services when we deliver them. And again, like I said, that varies across a wide range of things. But there's the added benefit that we get to see elsewhere. We've just had in one of our full strategic partnerships in Burnley. Reform have just got in, and actually now, so we are getting to see what that change in political landscape looks like. So actually, if local authorities are heading in that direction, and they were partnering with us, we're already on that trajectory. We're already now in that space, just by the virtue of we're working with authorities already going through that. So not only can we provide services and people to drive transformation, to drive change, but actually we can bring some insight that's come from what we've already learned from the partners that we're working with.
Yeah, great. And can you just share a bit about the ethos of your business and what sets you apart, from competitors in the market?
Yeah, this was a big one for me, actually. It was huge. To leave local government after 25 years was a huge decision. But actually, it was the ability to work with multiple local authorities that ultimately swung it. For Liberata directly, I mean, there's a real sort of focus on bringing people and technology together, as I touched on earlier. But even internally, our own values are about being accessible, being curious, and being expert. And that makes it a really great place to work, and to then be able to provide that support elsewhere as well. Actually, we bring various sort of experience and sort of learned patterns and behaviours that we've all brought with us from different places, different industries, different roles, and that's enabled us to actually really embed those values into Liberator, so that we do care. It is all about the outcome for the end user, the end person, the resident or citizen or whatever they're called in your specific area. And that is really felt within the company. That ethos is really strong.
Yeah, and have you got an example of just the sort of impact that these strategic partnerships can have within a specific local authority?
Yes. I mean, there's a few actually, and this is a good example of how times change and how we need to continually evolve and innovate, I suppose. So I'll start with one example, and then we'll move on to the current one, which is a real passion of mine. So over the last few years, local authorities have been able to benefit from something called New Homes Bonus. So Liberator launched an empty homes property review to be able to maximise New Homes Bonus for local authorities. During that period since launch, we've worked with over 150 local authorities, and it's generated more than 350 million in New Homes Bonus revenue. So that's an example of how we operate, where there's a need for that specific service, and where there's an opportunity for local authorities to maximise revenue. The latest example, and one that's a real passion project for me, something that I started whilst I was at Barnes and have now brought into Liberator, is our latest service, which is called Debt Assist. So we know that there's increasing scrutiny and pressure around how local authorities collect debt or their approach to debts, and at least we know that we've got 30-year-old processes that follow the same process, and we've done that for a long time. And then we know that we then have enforcement, and there's still a real valid place for enforcement, despite what we hear from the media, that there is a need in certain areas. But actually, what we do know over recent years, especially since COVID and the cost of living crisis, was the number of people who can't pay. They're not choosing not to pay. They no longer can pay. That is growing at an exponential rate, and that provides a real issue, because not only does it provide an issue today, but the issue's growing. We're seeing debt. I mean, I think that across the 6 major industries, I think there's over 71 billion pounds in debt now. When you break that down onto individual, there's around 13 billion in local government. Nice. There's over 6 billion of that in council tax. So actually, how do we proactively create a solution that mitigates that, or at least mitigates a proportion of that? And that's Debt Assist right now. So what we're providing for our partners right now is Debt Assist, which the infrastructure is built to focus on addressing the root cause of debt. So yes, it will be reactive because the debt is there already, but actually it's got a real preventative lens where it's built around the infrastructure to maximise income where applicable. It's got FCA accredited debt advice, a triage service that means that if someone really can't pay their debts, which has a detrimental effect to the local authority and then the wider community, what are we going to do to try and help them to mitigate that? So we can help them try and maximise their income. We can help them get a handle on the debt, reduce unnecessary interest payments, and we can actually come at it from a place of compassion, helping them understand that the debts do need to be paid, but actually let's focus on why it can't be paid and can we address that. That will then mitigate the challenge of the outstanding debt today, but also as well prevent future recurring debt. And where that becomes really sort of poignant is you hear a lot of, we've got 100% bad debt provision for debts over X years old, and that's good, But when you've got a budget deficit, or you've got services that are needing to be cut because you've got to generate that additional or reduce the expenditure, there's got to be a way of reducing some of that bad debt provision and utilising it in a smarter way. And it is hard to reduce that bad debt provision with the existing frameworks. And that's where, I'm huge and passionate about debt assist. This is something that I think it will change millions of people's lives, millions of families' lives. And so that is our latest part of how we can help authorities. In addition to the wider sort of partnership work, this can really, really support, the pledge of thriving communities within any corporate plan. And, how are you delivering these things? We can all say how we're going to support our residents, but what are you actually doing to deliver that? And Debt Assist will really, really add to that and support that.
Yeah, potential for some really positive outcomes. If you got guidance or tips and advice for local authorities just looking to take advantage of this sort of opportunity and maybe kickstart their journey into these sorts of strategic partnerships?
Yes, I think the first thing I would say is you don't need all your ducks lined up before you speak to us. Just come have a chat with us. It could be whether it's at the stand here in the SIT Fair or probably financially say, or whether it's an email or a LinkedIn post or just a phone call, anything at all. Just we're here to listen, to understand. I'm a huge lover of the 7 habits of highly effective people, and this habit 5 of seeking first to understand is critical, isn't it? Actually, just tell us your problems, and then we will listen. We will try and understand. We will say, actually, is that problem existing somewhere that we're already working with a partner? Is it something that is a quick fix for you? And I think that's it. Actually, it doesn't have to be shiny and polished up front. It can be blurting out where your biggest challenges are, and then taking it from there. And it can be a slow process, or if you want something overnight, then we can do that as well.
Amazing. Thanks, Darren, for a really insightful chat through this issue with some brilliant insights on how public sector organisations can leverage managed service solutions to tackle today's challenges. If our listeners want to get in touch with you direct, they can do that, can they?
Yes, absolutely. It's darren.smith@liberata.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. Darren Smith's a bit of a common name, but if you type in Darren Smith LinkedIn, you'll find me straight away. Liberata, you'll find me straight away there. And you can also contact Liberata directly if you wanted to speak to any of the team.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Thanks again for your time. Enjoy the rest of the event.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to an episode of our Public Finance Live podcast series, brought to you by the PF editorial team directly from SITFA's 2025 annual conference in Birmingham, England. You can listen to our full series of episodes on the big issues being discussed at this year's conference by searching PF Live wherever you get your podcasts.